What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, Joker back again, once again, and today we're going to be talking about the last word and the draw quest line to receive it.
This is wonderful!
So, the last word and the draw quest line are the last piece of content exclusive to the Season Pass for Black Armory. It also serves as sort of a heralding event for the Season of the Drifter. As Destiny 1 veterans might have noticed, the draw quest line is actually eerily similar to the Thorn quest line from Destiny 1, and there's a reason for that. You're actually going to forge Thorn, but you get the last word along the way. The actual obtaining of the last word is rather nonsensical, both in the game and in the lore. The TLDR is, according to the lore, the weapon has a will of its own, apparently, and we basically magically summon the last word through space and time out of our ass. No, really, that's basically what's happening here. If I seem rather annoyed by this, it's because I am. The draw quest is a Thorn quest that has been broken up into multiple parts, and the last word is just kind of thrown at players as a consolation prize for not getting Thorn now. It's like they couldn't be bothered to make a last word quest, so what they did is they repackaged Destiny 1's Thorn quest as this one long, overarching quest line, and they gave you last word for making it halfway through the quest. Perhaps I'm just being really sentimental here over a really unique gun, but I think it deserves better. I think it deserves more than to be Thorn's afterthought. If we break the quest down, where you obtain last word is also rather nonsensical as well. So the story pitch is this. Basically, some hive dude, this guy, is creating weapons of sorrow, Thorn prototypes. The Drifter stumbles across it and wants you to look into it. As you embark on your quest, and after finishing each step of your quest, you'll get pages of a journal. The Journal of Tobin Gray, a shadow of yore who is deciphering the Hive Book of Unmaking. And you'll also receive letters from Shin Malphur, who, by the end of the quest, bequeaths to you the last word. Yup, this isn't a replica, as the lore is quick to point out. This is the real deal used by Jaren Ward and Shin Malphur. Though, technically speaking, Shin Malphur used a golden gun to kill Dredge and Yor, not the last word, but fucking details. If you just read the letters of a renegade that is provided with this update, and the quest descriptions for each step of the quest, it sounds actually like a really fucking epic quest. Like, you're uncovering this dark arcane item, and then suddenly it delves into the struggle for your guardian's soul. That said, this is of course where the game and the lore diverge almost immediately, divorcing anything that resembles reality. What's played out in the lore is this epic battle for our soul. What actually happens is in fact nothing more than an overly tedious, poorly thought out, poorly designed grind fest. And it's not even that original. Again, I must reiterate, while we technically receive the last word upon the completion of this part of the quest, the weapon that we're investigating and helping to forge is Thorn, and the quest is very reminiscent of Destiny 1's Thorn quest. I'm gonna cut to the chase here on this one. The quest overall is ass, and this has absolutely nothing to do with the PvP requirements. Anyone complaining about that has lost the plot. The barrier here is your mind, not the crucible, and we'll touch on the backlash on that in a moment. So, the rest of the quest, or the bulk of the quest, boils down to kill Hive with solar damage, then kill more Hive, collect these tablets, do the exact same thing again, only make sure this time you get headshots and collect their worms, then run 15 lost sectors and wait forever for the witch ritual to spawn, and pray you're not doing it on Mars and somebody decides to start an escalation protocol! This quest just comes off as one of those things where it just never seems like there's quality control going on over at Bungie. I wish, in fact, that there was more outrage about the quest being bad all around, instead of just focusing on the PvP aspect of the quest. When you say, hey, this quest is kinda bad, all it is go around and kill a few hundred Hive, do 15 lost sectors, and waste up to an hour of your life waiting around for witch rituals, it's not fun, it's not compelling, it's boring, it's not even remotely interesting. And it's just lazy padding for the sake of padding. That's at least somewhat of a compelling argument. When you go around screeching about how you just don't want to play PvP because reasons, that's not an argument. More so when the bare minimum is so low that all you have to do is get 0.5 KDA a game and you'll still progress. This Crucible quest step, mind you, was in the Destiny 1 version of the Thorn quest, but it was way harder. You had to use Void to defeat Guardians in the Crucible, and death slowed your progress. And there was none of this get an assist bullshit either. You had to get your own kills with Void damage. If you didn't do that, you didn't progress. This is not me saying that that was a great quest step either, by no stretch of the imagination, but the version presented here is a far cry from impossible or even hard. Anyone complaining about this is seriously missing the forest for the tree. The whole quest is bad, not just this one aspect. But moving forward. Now, the new lore is overall fantastic, though ever so slightly immersion breaking when you give it any critical thought. The Letters from a Renegade is a set of philosophical musings from Shin to us, meant to make us think about the path that we're going down. A sort of battle for our soul, if you will. He's watching us as we step closer and closer and closer to the edge of the abyss on this quest to make Thorn and tempt the darkness. But, because we are the player character, he decides that, just this one time, he wants to see how things play out. With the somewhat ever-present veiled threat of, if I don't like how this turns out, I'm going to kill you. And this threat becomes somewhat less veiled in the Something New card where Shin outright states it.
Oh, what are you going to do? Grab that guy who can stop me?
What was his name?
Michael doesn't exist.
The thing is, and perhaps maybe this is just a me thing, but it's kind of insulting that the NPCs of the universe keep forgetting how many gods we've killed at this point. So when somebody goes, if you do this, I'm going to kill you, I'm just left sitting here going, you and what army exactly? Oh wait, Crota, Oryx, Atheon, Gull, they all had armies. How much help was that? So when I read stuff like that in the lore, it's really jarring and very immersion breaking because it's not gonna happen. And we're only as evil as the developers allow us to be, so all of this talk of choice comes down to, well, there is none. We have no choice. Not now anyways. And I doubt we're gonna be running around anytime soon murdering innocent women and children screaming, "The darkness!" like a raving lunatic. So it's one of those things that is a character making a threat that's never gonna happen, for dozens if not hundreds of reasons. But other than that one minor complaint, that's probably, like I said, just a me thing, the lore was overall really well told. And it's a really big shame that the quest doesn't live up to it. And of course, no review on The Last Word would be complete without reviewing the gun itself. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's a bad gun. In fact, it's probably a top tier weapon, but I am divided on it. And this is probably entirely a me thing. I wanna like it. Bungie did a really superb job on bringing this gun back. The Last Word was notoriously hard to balance in Destiny 1, and with the way they brought it back now, there's power, but there's also nuance and disadvantage, making the weapon a really skilled weapon, unlike the spam cannon that is Luna's Howl or Not Forgotten. And because of the way they brought back Last Word and how intelligent and nuanced it was, I'm actually super excited to see what they do with Thorn. That said, as much as I want to like it, I'm not quite sure it's my thing. It's a great weapon, and I've found a lot of success with it. But have you ever been using a weapon and you're excelling with it, but you still just don't like it, you're not a fan of it, it's a really good weapon and you're doing really well with it, but something just feels off? It feels like I'm putting more effort into using it for a relative return than what I would be getting back with something else. Something else like Luna's Howl or Not Forgotten. I think the biggest issue here is that I play on console and not PC, and the recoil of the gun basically kicks it into your face, and this tends to be an issue with a lot of weapons on console, but more specifically hand cannons, and so it just feels off. But again, and I must reiterate, it is a really good weapon, it's really fun to use, but I just feel like I'm putting more effort into using it than I would with something else. Overall, the Draw Quest is a huge disappointment. It's just the Thorn Quest from Destiny 1 repackaged with even more grind and more wasting the player's time. And well, that's because It is the Thorn Quest. The last word seems to be an afterthought, and it deserves so much better. The highlights of this quest are the great lore and the really interesting take on the last word. A take on it that makes it a top tier weapon without being overpowered. However, the way the gun functions intrinsically suffers from problems present in the way weapons are designed to handle on the console version of the game. If you're on PC, the general consensus is the difference is night and day. But again, to be clear, this isn't an issue with the last word. It's an issue with the poor way Bungie has decided to balance weapon handling on the console version of the game. But like always, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. And like always, stay frosty.